Okay, so here's the deal. Let's get a little bit of music going. Screw into this, right? Get a little feel good. All right, we're feeling all right. Emergency message. Here we go. Emergency message EM 25054. What is it? How does it work? Why does it feel so sudsy when I touch it? I don't know. Let's go into it. This is released by ORDP, ODP, policy departments, to basically everybody under the SSA umbrella. Okay, cool. Launch date 9/9/25. Retention date 3/9/26. Purpose. This emergency message is to inform you about the updates to Form SSA 21 BK, the Work Activity Report Form. I want to point out real quick which particular type. It is specifically the one they got finished first, the employee version. They're still working on, I'm sure, the employer version. Oh, hold on. I got to plug my computer and it doesn't have enough juice. Hold on. Let's feed the processors. There you go. I got to plug my phone in every once in a while because it's really low. When we get to the debate, I got to have enough juice on the phone too. All right. So here's the basic thing that you need to know. Okay. They're updating the form. Background. We received feedback from advocates, technicians stating that Form SSA 21BK is too long and complicated and that this prevents applicants and beneficiaries from fully completing and in many cases returning the form. To address these concerns, we updated and streamlined the form. We clarified why we are asking for information, how providing it may help the applicant or beneficiary. We updated certain fields to make it compatible with the upload docs workflow, digitally doing it online stuff. Policy. Technicians use the Form SSA 821BK to document work activity and work incentives prior to making a substantial gainful activity determination for initial claims, appeals, expedited reinstatements, and work continuing disability review cases. All right, let me summarize. There is a form when applying and once found disabled where they want to know who you're working for and how much money you're making. Okay. This form is used heavily by the SSA to say, gotcha, you were actually earning more. And it allows them to say they claimed this, but they have alternative evidence that shows this. And then they get a judge to sign up on a warrant and then they get rolling. So this one, SSA 821BK, is the new updated work activity report employee form. Some of you are very honest individuals and you explain exactly what you're doing with jobs. That's excellent. That's very good. I feel good about it. Some of you, you know what I mean? I had a claimant not too long ago, and I ultimately withdrew for rep and fees. And this claimant would always ask me to modify things or whether or not something was submitted. And it was always a situation where I did not feel comfortable with that claimant because they were always trying to work an angle or modify something that wasn't necessarily correct or direct or accurate or whatever. And this is one of those forms, there's not much wiggle room. It's a numbers and cents form. Okay. All right, let's go through it real quick. Here we go. Changes to the Form SSA 21BK. Here we go. Cover letter. They removed the pre-filled please tell us about your work since sentence to be compatible with the upload docs. Technicians may pre-fill the date on page 3 when appropriate. If the date is not pre-filled, we request the information covering the... Actually, you know what? I can tell you about all these changes. I'd rather just go through it with you and explain to you what stuff is because they have a ton of changes. A ton of changes that they've made to this form. Okay. Change the wording of this question to clarify why we are asking for this information and how providing it may help them. Let's see. Added language, clarifying possible reimbursement choices, blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't just stop there. You got a whole extra page. So the point I'm getting at is they changed a lot on it. Okay. And the main issue that they were running into is they wanted a form that was going to allow people to not lie and allow people to be honest and tell the SSA what's actually going on. And to be fair, the form was difficult before, not super hard, but it was a little difficult. And now they've simplified it. So they're hoping that they're going to get more of them back where you fill it out. Because what would happen is people would be like, shit, doing a little side thing. And then they get that, they fill it out, but not fill it out complete. And they send it in and be like, I'm done. I'm done. I don't understand the rest. I'm not sure. And then they wouldn't have those, those statements from you that would give them what they need to go and, get a little warrant, get a little banky check, All right, let's go through it. I'm just going to basically give you the walkthrough as to how this form works. You'll figure out the gotchas from it as it goes. Okay. Have you had any employment income or wages since your disability began? Since the date shown in the identification section, or since we last reviewed your work history? In other words, are you working and we don't know about it? Cool. We may receive reports of other types of income for you, even if you are not working. Other types of income include back pay, vacation pay, sick pay, disability pay insurance, and workers' compensation. We may ask for more information about the income that has been reported. In other words, they're giving you a little shot across the bow to say, hey, look, you might think, we don't know, but there might be something in the record about auxiliary payments, sick pay, vacation pay, some back pay, whatever that you might have gotten from a job. Okay. Did you receive other types of income since your disability began or since we last reviewed your work activity? The two options are no. If you did not receive any other type of income and have not worked since the date shown in the identification section or within the last 2 years, please specify any possible source of reported income below. Then go to the signature section, complete, sign, and return the form. You might have something where you worked 2 years ago, 2 years plus, and just now it's paying you. That happens all the time, especially with real estate stuff. Happens all the time. Another thing that happens all the time, unfortunately, is people will say, no, I'm not working anywhere. I'm not working. And then I get a call to do the 1 hour private session to figure out how they figured out that you were, doing your thing at the local grocery store. Granted, it's family owned. Granted, it's culturally locked in. Granted, nobody would tweet or Twitter on you. Granted, that's the AC. But to be fair, you got snookered. Okay. Or you can choose yes. Mark below any that apply: back pay, vacation pay, sick pay, disability pay, disability insurance, workers' comp, other. Maybe an investment paying you. Okay. All right. Beginning with your most recent employer, please tell us about your work activity since the date shown in the identification, blah, blah, blah. If we have not already received proof of income from your employer, we may ask you to submit it. I want to show you something. You see what they did here? This is called bullet point. Well, not bullet point. It's called bold, right? Okay. So let me read it to you again, and then I'm going to read it to you in the fashion that they wanted you to hear it, okay? Beginning with your most recent employer, please tell us about your work activities since the date shown in the identification section. Identification is bolded, and it's all uppercase. So they really want you to turn the page back and realize you're getting locked in. Okay, so the date your disability began since the last work review or within the last 2 years. If we have not already received proof of income from your employers, we may ask you to submit it. That's them telling anybody with 2 brain cells that they know you're working. They know something's going on. And if they don't already have your employment information, what you were earning from the payroll companies or somebody snitcherooed, if they don't have that already, they're going to ask you to submit it. That is why that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call bold right there. For proof of income from your employers. All right. Next thing. We only count income directly related to your work. For example, if you're working but also received income for time off, like sick and vacation pay, we will deduct that income from your total gross earnings before we decide if you're eligible for benefits. Or when you work and receive other types of income like tips or bonuses, we may add that pay to your total gross income before we decide if you're eligible for benefits. I got to be honest, the form is better. The old form was shit. The graphs sucked. The way it was laid out, it was like, I'm not trying to like build up Commissioner, whatchamacallit, Commissioner, God, I forgot his name. I'm tired. It's late. It's 11:05 p.m. and I'm on vacation. Commissioner, geez Louise. It's the new one. It's the bank CEO. Hold on. My brain's a little tired, people. Let's look him up real quick. Commissioner of SSA, who is Frank Bisignano. It like came to me right as this picture popped up. So bottom line is Frank Bisignano, he did a solid on this. He actually made it better. And I think the boldings are going to help people put the two little brain cells together. Yeah, I see people putting Bisignano in there. I know. You just got to remember, it's late. I'm tired. Okay. If you worked, did you also get any other income from any other employers that you told us about in the employment information section? Okay, including the additional employment information pages. So in other words, what they're saying is, not only do we probably have the one job you're working for, we probably know the other jobs you're working at too. That's probably what's going on here. Because remember, people who have been on disability benefits for a while, they usually got a couple of companies where they're doing a little bit of work here, a little bit of work there to get the extra money. All right, next one, Section 5. We have work incentives that may allow you to work and receive Social Security disability benefits. When we review your earnings to decide if you have done substantial work, we may be able to deduct income not directly related to your work, yearways, or that you use to pay for items or services related to your disability necessary for you to work. Having extra support on the job may result in SSA not counting part of your earnings when we decide if you are eligible for or can continue to receive benefits. They're called yearways. Just look them up. It's no biggie. IRWEs. For any jobs that you told us about in the employment information section, okay, including the additional employment information pages, do you get extra support, easier work, or more time to do your work because of your disability? So, what accommodations do you get? And what medical or disability-related things do you need to be able to do the job that you can deduct off your earnings? Because you got to spend money on them. Does someone other than your employer have firsthand knowledge about the extra help, easier work, or extra time you can get to do your work because of your disability? If yes, label the snitch here, right here. If your employer or your boss knows, who else might know about it that they can reach out to? They're looking for third-party testimony, okay? They want people to tell them the truth. Give a little snitchy snitch. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a good thing. The SSA is doing their job trying to figure out who's trying to commit fraud and who's not. Okay, that's a good thing. 6A, we may not count short periods of substantial work, 6 months or less, when we decide if you are eligible for benefits for any jobs that you told us about in the employment information section. Did you make any changes to your work due to your disability or due to the removal of special conditions that allowed you to work? Examples of special conditions include on-the-job coaching, similar services, closer continuous supervision, or when the job coach or another employee performs part of all of your job duties because of your disabling condition. Did they give you accommodations? What were those accommodations? Okay. 6B. All right. That's just when did you stop working? All right, next one. Use this space right here. You're just going to tell them anything that, anything you missed out on, right? All right, now 7A. We may be able to deduct certain expenses from your total gross wages before we decide if you are eligible to receive or continue to receive benefits. The expenses must be for items or services that you pay for, that are needed because of your disability and that are needed for you to work. The expenses must be paid for out of pocket. That means you make money, you pay for it from that money, or just money you have. We cannot count expenses that Medicare, Medicaid, or insurance companies or another person paid or will pay you back for, or will pay back to you, rather. Examples, okay? Medicines or copays, medical devices, procedures, special transportation, special telephone or other equipment, service animal, attendant care, or special equipment if you are blind, okay? All right. Blah, 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 yada, yada. Sign, print, dates, give a little smoochie, and you're all done. Okay, that's the whole yada, yada. All right. What did we learn? If you're getting this form, it's for a reason. Here's how it normally works. When you're applying for disability benefits, right, you may have reported on what's called an SSA 3369 that you have jobs and what you do in the jobs. Well, if a job is recent enough where they need more information, or you didn't talk about a job that they have information on, you talked about it with your doctor, it ended up on an IRS sheet, whatever, a detailed earnings query or a new hire query, then they're going to send you an 821. Look, these are not the ones that usually get in trouble. These are the employees. The ones that usually get in trouble are the SSA 820s, which they haven't released the updated one on yet. I haven't seen it. That's going to be the spicy one because those are the self-employed people. Okay. All right. With that said, Walter, can I call you tomorrow? I've just been approved and live in Port St. John. Oh, cool. But appealing to BS, cutout amount and no back pay. I have bona fide loan agreement. Yeah, just call me tomorrow. That's fine. Just give me a call tomorrow. I'm only going to be at the office for a limited time because I am on vacation. So just keep in mind, like you might get me on Monday. With that said, we are now going to go to the next video where we debate. And I'm doing this in honor of Charlie Kirk because the man literally would just debate people. And some of you love him, some of you hate him, but he was a YouTuber like me. And I actually stopped working with live event homeless. Like I still go to the homeless office, but I don't do live events with them now where I like go to where they're doing feeding events and stuff and work with them because it's just too easy for somebody to walk up and do something to me. And that's because of the anger and the hate and the things that I've gotten through the comments and chat and also people calling the firm and sending letters and things like that. And one thing a lot of people just don't understand is that YouTubers are loved by people and they're also hated at an extreme level where it doesn't make sense. And to be fair, very much so like Mr. Kirk, I unfortunately deal with a lot of individuals who have mental impairments that cause them to not understand reality as it is. And as a result of that, I get the same kind of hate mail and anger mail and threat mail and all that stuff. It's disgusting and it's sad, but it is what it is. All right. With that said, the next video, we are going to debate because the only way you can fix the problem of people being too fragile to debate is by letting them debate. It's my little way to teach you how to start expanding the mind, to have counter arguments as a form of a trial tactic, to better express yourself. All right. Attorney Walter Hnot, please remember to like and subscribe. Mondays and Thursdays, I go live to answer questions. After this debate video, I'll be going live to answer questions for free. And also, please remember, if you want a private consultation, 30-minute or 1 hour is basically in the bio below. And also, very important, if you need a disability attorney, please remember to go ahead and give me a call, 9 to 5. I'm the most viewed, subscribed to, and clicked on disability attorney. You don't have to choose me. You can choose anybody. But, if you like my knowledge base, you can always choose me. Up to you. Anyways, I will catch you a little bit later. Attorney Walter Hnot. We'll go to the next video and rock and roll from there. You have a wonderful, wonderful night. And thank you so much. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.